Hello, everybody. It is me, Game Penguin 21. Today, well, looks like it's time to actually talk about the Xbox Game Pass price increase. Now, I know I talked about the PlayStation rumor launcher in the last video, or if it's not the last video, it'll probably be the next video because I'm recording these kind of on the same day. But I wanted to talk about the Xbox Game Pass price increase for the sheer factor that, well, there's a lot of people talking about it. And then we're not just going to be looking at PlayStation Salt, but we're also going to be talking about Xbox Salt, because there are a couple of salty Xbox people that we need to take a look at. And this is actual Xbox Salt and not some of the other stuff that people are talking about. But it's just an interesting topic to cover because of what is happening. So what exactly is happening in terms of the actual Xbox Game Pass price increase and stuff? Well, Xbox Game Pass price is getting a somewhat of a reshuffling. And that reshuffling seems to come into the fact that Xbox Core, which is the Xbox equivalent of Xbox Live, does seem to be going away, where now they're going to be offering Xbox Standard, and you're no longer going to be able to get the Xbox Standard Edition to be able to get day-and-date games. Now, a lot of people are going to look at this and say, oh, well, in that context, that person is no longer getting a good deal for it. And I see this as somewhat of an interesting thing because, again, Xbox Core was originally supposed to be Xbox Live, which just didn't give you those types of games to begin with. But I guess they're moving around the Standard Edition to not be able to get day-and-date games. It's very weird, and to be quite honest, I do believe that it is a bit of a misstep. And the price increase in general is like, awful. Like, I'm not going to be defending that at all in this video, and I definitely think that the price increase is a little bit weird, but it's to be expected, so I'm not too outraged by it. It's more of just, it's inconvenient, but again, I don't pay into that service in the first place, but that doesn't mean that we can't at least take a look at some of the weird opinions that people have on this, which we will start off with General MLD in his thing here saying, Game Pass gets a price increase due to the ABK and a sheer amount of games day one, whereas PlayStation gets a rise for nothing. PlayStation fanboys have zero business calling this out. And this is one of the bigger first topics that we're going to kind of cover here, and that is the PlayStation the PlayStation Plus price increase, I think didn't get as much coverage in the mainstream, or at least I didn't see as many people talking about it in terms of the PlayStation guys. Then we'll get into a couple of people that apparently did, but to go into, that's going to be the first major place that I'm going to be talking about. But then there's the second one, which is a more interesting one, which is not, I guess not more interesting, but is a more weird topic to cover in the second, in like the middle-ish portion, which is, so all of this day one on Game Pass Ultimate for $20 a month, and a $3 increase, and y'all are outraging over it, which is clearly somewhat of a defense for Xbox, which, again, makes some sense if you think about it logistically, because you are getting a lot of games day one. They do have to increase the price to be able to get more money out of stuff and to maybe keep the lights on, but it's one of those things where it's generally very strange, because, again, to kind of quote out Lord Addick here, saying that Game Pass increase because of COD, the new subs are coming to the Game Pass this holiday will be forced to go to Ultimate. What Xbox is doing to console users is foul, and no one should be defending it. It is what it is. And again, I'm not defending the price increase for that very reason, because again, I don't think that's... It's kind of stupid. It's kind of dumb. Again, saying that the price increase is like, it's expected and it should be accepted. It's like, just because it's expected doesn't mean that it should be like praised or anything like that. But of course, we start off with the Game Pass defenders, I guess, with a lot of the slower Xbox Game Pass subscribers still don't know. And this is from King Thrasher. He's not the one defending it. It's just one of the people here in the comments, which is the more interesting comment here, is that they're paying $12.99 and will pay $14.99 in the future, and talking about how that isn't double. Now, again, this sort of screenshot is a little bit weird to me because we're missing the context that leads up to this point. So I'm unsure as to what even led to this response in the first place. But saying that they're doubling the price of Game Pass for day-and-date games to $20 is technically speaking doubling the price, but at the same time that doesn't counter into the fact that the standard was, I think, a separate tier from the Xbox Game Pass core, and I don't think that standard had the core thing for it. It's a very weird thing. I think that they're just consolidating two tiers into one tier, if I'm looking at it correctly. Again, I don't know the context here, so I can't really make too much of this, but it does seem like this person is defending it, but again, maybe it's taking it out of context, unsure of the full context. But keeping on that good old S-Class Gamer pain train, I guess, talking about Post Up here. We're going to talk about Post Up a couple times in this video, where they didn't utter a word about Sony has defended its decision to raise the PlayStation price increase by 35%, which I think if we're doing it by percentages, the increase of like that is around the same percentage, because it's increasing from like $2 to $3, so it's around 25% to 30% ish, depending on what you think here. Maybe it's even less than that. I don't know. But King Thrash is basically saying, hey, you're not choosing to say anything about the Xbox price increase, so why does that do that, where they do the same thing about day-and-date games, where it's like, again, this is to be expected. It might be a little bit strange, but some people, again, like Nicola here, did actually talk about this, because they do have a tweet from around the time when Sony did talk about it, but it's a very weirdly worded tweet, so I'm going to read it out for you, saying that they did actually talk about it, saying that, hey, PlayStation and Sony, we are not renewing our PlayStation Plus subscription. Not only with that price increase, do the right thing and don't push your luck, which I find very strange, because Nicola also then talks about here how PlayStation Plus Essential is better than Game Pass Core, and PlayStation Plus Essential is less than Game Pass Core. My mistake. PlayStation Plus Extra is better than Game Pass Standard, and PlayStation Plus Premium is equivalent to Game Pass Ultimate, which, like, no. But again, at the same time, it's going back to the same thing where it's like, oh, we're not going to be renewing our PlayStation Plus subscription, so don't do that. Meaning that, again, you think that PlayStation Plus isn't as good as Game Pass Ultimate if you're not getting it for the same benefits of that. It's very contradictory, but apparently he's not a PlayStation fanboy. But again, we'll talk about, like how in this tweet, responding to Wario64, about even more newsworthy is the price increase, which is yearly now $80 more than PlayStation Expertise. PlayStation Premium now is the quiet removal of day one games for Game Pass Standard, Absolute Cinema, which, again, he will critique them all dang day, but then say, hey, we're not going to be renewing our PlayStation Plus stuff. It just comes off as hypocritical to me for one reason or another, why he will continue to defend that, and I just wanted to point that out because it's very strange to me. Again, I might be looking a little bit too deep into it, and maybe he's a bit more neutral than I'm talking about it, but again, to me, it just seems very strange that you would defend one, but, like, condemn the other in a very strange way like that. Next up here, we have Xbox is still last with Xbox. We're getting Call of Duty for $240 a year. Enjoy paying full price, ponies. Which, again, you get more out of it, much like how Charlie Intel also tried to pull this same thing, talking about how it's $240 yearly. But if you've seen, just kind of sums this up for me and says, if you ignore the other 200 plus games that you can play right now on that same system, on Xbox Game Pass. It's just strange to me how people keep saying, oh, it's increasing because of COD, and how it's bad now because of that. It's like, again, yes, it's bad and stuff like that, but there is positives to this as well. And again, I'm not defending the price increase, even though it sounds like it. But realistically speaking, what do you get for around that $240 a year? You get around access to 200 plus plus-ish games that kind of rotate out pretty frequently, and you also get discounts on those same games if you want to buy them and keep them forever, which if you say, hey, I don't want to pay this amount of money anymore, but still have a bunch of the games that you bought for cheaper, yeah, that is actually kind of a big deal. Like, people, again, just continue to do that. And once more, to talk about another interesting pony situation, I haven't seen a lot of Reforged Gaming, but that's because he is on vacation, according to this tweet here, saying that on vacation, but let me guess, those two statements being said a lot is that we knew this would happen, which, again, to be fair, that is true, and this is where the industry is headed. Now, I'm not going to say that, because obviously I don't think that that's the case. I think it's going to be an option later down the line, and that the options that are currently doing it are there. And with the two people down there saying, nailed it, enjoyed your vacation, and most of the defensive comments start with, but Sony, and yeah, I guess I am contributing a little bit to that. But at the same time, here's the thing. Sony did also increase the price for very little, if anything, in return. So, I mean, both companies suck, and both price increases suck massive donkey balls. But in comparison, at least Xbox is trying to offer more in this context. Again, keyword try in there. The offering of that is a little bit stretching it. But again, yeah. Next up here, we have, again, Jamie Mauron here with PlayStation Plus gets a price increase with no major first-party reaction, and they didn't get the same reaction. And again, it's one of those things that you look at and you're like, this is a very strange happening of events, where Jen of Hatred, also talks about this and talks about how the Netflix price goes up and people are like, this sucks. PlayStation Plus price goes up saying, this sucks. Where the Xbox price goes up and it's just like, curse you, Microsoft, you have out to rule the thing and you're destroying the game industry and your own branding by offering all these things and blah, 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 blah. Like, again, it just feels like a very weird reaction. It kind of reminds me, again, of Elden Ring when it gets criticized, saying, like, it gets heavily, heavily criticized despite the fact that all of the critiques of things like hard difficulty, lack of this feature, lack of that feature, they all don't get that it's still popular despite those things, and that the critiques that they're giving aren't necessarily deal breakers, and they focus on a good, like, gameplay aspect. It's very strange to me how, like, one can get a super amount of criticism, but when something does another thing, it's very strange. Now, oh no, it's Alex here. Does have a bit of a salty response, and I'm going to be the first to say that this is actually probably a pretty weird but also very good salty response to this, where the person talks about the PSN requirement is likely due to Sony wanting cross-save between platforms, just like how Xbox does it. So why are people bitching? This is a feature I have been asking Sony to implement since they started releasing games on PC. I think you're a fanboy in the matter. In the matter what you say. The next video better be about the Game Pass price hike, which, again, it actually ended up being. But I do think that, again, this one is... And his response is just... You can read it. I'm not going to. But, I mean, again, that is... One of the more interesting things here is that, yes, I do think that PlayStation Network requirement does suck, and it does actually suck, but the cross-save might be the saving grace to it, but at the same time, I'm still not going to do it because I don't trust Sony anymore due to the whole Helldivers 2 situation. We could skip over the Porter Rock tweet because, quite honestly, it just says that it's 7 years old and that it's around 30 million subscribers, and that's the tweet. Obviously, this is just rage bait / engagement bait. I don't have anything else to say on this other than the fact of just obvious rage bait is obvious. Next up here, we have the X1 Gamer, and we're now kind of getting into the Xbox salt here. With, I agree, PlayStation has, or Game Pass has damaged the industry, like cars damaged the buggy industry, email damaged the fax machine industry, smartphones damaged the pager markets, digital cameras damage the film industry, and electric lights damage the candle industry. Announcement is about evolution. Advancements about evolution embrace the change, where Ryan is the tweet that he is responding to basically sum Ryan's tweet up. It's done irreversible damage and altered consumer behavior, and what is to be tolerated into paying for games. And he is correct. I don't think that it will completely replace the industry in terms of like damaging and stuff. It's just that the buying games and stuff has been the biggest form of actually getting games to be on the platform. But my thing is that they are currently realizing that they should use it as just an option for people who want that rather than making it their mainstay. It's one of those things where it does have negative connotations and does have negative effects, but at the same time, there is definite positives to it. And again, this price increase has kind of brought that whole thing back up to the surface. And again, like saying that advancement is about evolution, embrace the change, it just feels like that comes off as someone who just loves AI stuff or like AI things. And Arcelito kind of, again, brings up a good point, saying that the change is renting the games instead of owning them, and that's a no from me. And again, I think a lot of people will have that sentiment, and that sentiment is very valid to have. If you don't want to be doing that for games, having the ability to buy it outright rather than anything else is correct here in this situation. Next up here we have Excision with The Choice Is Clear of a $17.99 a month for this, and that's talking about the game catalog and them increasing it, whereas $20 a month for a bunch of new and upcoming games you can buy day one. Again, it to me it's still a good deal. $20 a month is still a fine deal. Absolutely, $20 is $20 to the people who know that joke. But at the same time, you can still outright buy most of these games instead of just renting them. And again, it would cost a lot, but it still sucks that the price is increasing. Like, again, I have to say it's good with an asterisk because the price increase still sucks and it's dumb. Like, again. And then we have Colt Eastwood, who I don't talk about often on this channel, this is probably the saltiest response I've ever seen from him, and I don't genuinely cover him for the reason of his responses are never this salty, but this is really funny to me. So he says, get rid of it. Get rid of all of it and just offer Game Pass Ultimate. Xbox is explicitly trying to boost their first-party power. It should be related to Game Pass plus console plus PC plus cloud, no exceptions or a case-by-case basis. And let me be fair here. This is dumb. Offering it up to people like who may or may not want it will, in some cases, actively hurt the brand. Like that would actively hurt the brand if they just offered Game Pass Ultimate, because it's, to use an interesting thing here, Microsoft originally was trying to do what's known as, I guess, I'll call it the popcorn gambit. If you don't know what the popcorn gambit is, the popcorn gambit is offering 3 different sizes for 3 different prices. That being, let's just use popcorn as the example, since I'm calling it that. There are 3 different tubs of popcorn. One for $5, one for $10, and then one for $13. That might seem like a strange pricing scheme, but when put experimentally and you put those 3 prices up for, like, say, again, popcorn for like a movie, there are a lot more people out there who would buy the large of the 3 because the medium tempers the price of the large. Where if you took out the medium, which is again why I call it the popcorn gambit, if you took out the medium tier, which is like the middling price, you would then have just the 2 prices, which are very stark differently. So I guess Microsoft thought that this would work to push people towards the Ultimate Edition, but they realized like that's not necessarily how that works. So they're now kind of scrapping that plan and going back to a different plan here. But then, of course, we also have people on the PlayStation side talking about how PlayStation apparently no longer needs to compare PlayStation Plus Extra to Game Pass because Premium offers double the games and is $20 cheaper a year. PlayStation Plus is the best deal in gaming. Xbox slowly diminishing its services to get back full price sales, which, look, it still doesn't offer their games day and date. It still doesn't offer their stuff in the same. I don't know. To me, at the end of the day, I think most of the games still that it offers are fine, and the standard now is actually now on par with the PlayStation Plus Extra, where the Ultimate Edition is now on par with that. And I like how he does that, where it's like, it no longer needs to be compared to that because it's still the best year thing in gaming. Oh no, price increases all around. It'd be weird if PlayStation did that again. And I think that we'll just leave it off on there. There's a couple more tweets here, one from the Red Dragon that I will mention very quickly. You can read it on your own, because again, they're talking about how the same thing here, about how the price increase is just whatever. But Doi talks about how, which is the other one where it's like PlayStation Plus has become better in that case. And again, I don't keep up with PlayStation Plus, so I'm not sure too much on that, but it's just very weird and strange that, again, people are saying, oh, PlayStation Plus's increase actually makes a lot of sense, whereas Xbox increases does not. I don't know, Chief. That's a little strange to me, but at the end of the day, both of the price increases suck major donkey balls, because obviously price increases always suck no matter who or what happens, or no matter the justification that you try to make for it. I'm not defending Xbox's decision here at all, and I don't think that they should have increased the prices morally, but business-wise, I understand why they would do it. It just kind of comes off, again, very dumb, very stupid, very annoying. But at the same time, I'm, again, very late to this, so you know what? I'll just edit the video and post it probably on my Tuesday, whatever. In any case, I think that'll about do it for me talking into the microphone for this. If you like what it is that I do, want to support me in any way, shape, or form, links down to everything in the description below. Again, I do make music, I do stream on Twitch, and do all the stuff that YouTubers want you to do. And again, like, comment, favorite, and subscribe if you like what it is that I do, because again, I keep repeating myself because I'm very weird. Anyway, my name's GamePeng21, and a peace off.